I'm Dr. Michelle with wellwithdrmichelle.com, and you may also see me for acupuncture at Acupuncture Center Inc. I love to teach people about natural ways to stay healthy, and that's why we're here today. And the topic today is a morning apple cider cleansing tea. So this is also dandelion here, but I love this picture. So this information does come from my book, Ancient Healing for Modern People, Food, Herbs, and Essential Oils. So if you type that in Amazon, just not the whole title, but just Ancient Healing for Modern People, Food, Herbs, and Essential Oils, it will come up. And I don't know if you can see, but this is my book here. I have it tabbed. So the morning tea recipe is in the book. That's just the same thing. So there's another, picture of me here. My online courses and workshops are on my website, wellwithdrmichelle.com. And then my acupuncture practice is Acupuncture Center Inc. And then I just found out about Eventbrite for doing webinars. Like these live events are really nice to register. You get the reminder emails with the links. So again, the information is based, from my book. I have to give a disclaimer before we start. This is just the general, FDA disclaimer that nothing here mentioned in this course, the products, foods, essential oils have been evaluated by the FDA. The products and methods recommended are not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent illness or disease. It is not a substitute for medical advice. So why do a cleanse? Well, the food we eat, the air we breathe, all becomes energy. And in Chinese medicine, we say qi, energy. You can think of it like electricity. Electricity is invisible, but we can see its effects. And we know now that there is really a connection between the brain and our guts, our gut health. So it's really important. It's important for our mood, for our digestive system, for thinking, for intelligence, and so many other things, not just the gut, and joints as well. So a little bit about me and why you should listen to me. Well, I'm a doctor of acupuncture and herbal medicine, and I've been helping people for over 20 years, telling people what to do. That sounds a little bossy. It's not really, kind of came out kind of funny. But, I just help people figure out what works for them. Everybody is an individual, and what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for everybody. And I will say that Chinese medicine is very, very balanced. It's middle of the road. It is not a trend. So it's not something that's just here today and gone tomorrow. You're not going to find some other types of studies, that then say that whatever we teach or whatever we use or promote is wrong. That's because it's based on the individual. It is based on what we call imbalances. And everybody, generally speaking, does do well on a basic balanced diet of Chinese medicine. That is because we have basic needs that are the same, right? Basic nutritional needs, and our physiology generally works the same. So those of us in temperate climates, you're going to find that to be the case. So the morning tea, I did drink this morning. Apple cider cleansing tea. So what I'm going to do here is talk about the ingredients and then give you a little bit of some background about each one and why I chose to put it in my tea. And of course, there are many different types of cleanses and different morning drinks that you can do that are out there. So this isn't like the only one, and you can mix it up a little bit. So I like the way this tastes, all these ingredients here. It tastes sort of like sweet apple pie. And if anybody has ever tried apple cider vinegar alone, maybe you didn't like it. And I've heard that from some people that they've heard about, the benefits of apple cider vinegar and tried to drink it, but it was just awful and they can't really do it. But maybe, with all of these ingredients here, it is more palatable. And also, I really think that it does help if you find something that you like to do that's healthy. It doesn't really help if it's like a chore, because number one, you won't do it, or, you won't do it for very long. And I do think that there's something about your body kind of fights against it. Food should taste good. We shouldn't eat things that taste like cardboard. I don't think we absorb the nutrients and they don't help us spiritually. Like sometimes we really need things to taste, pretty good. So what I like to mix is a teaspoon to 1 tablespoon of raw unpasteurized um, apple cider vinegar, and it has what they call a mother in the apple cider vinegar. It's like kind of looks thick and kind of weird. Maybe you think it looks, like, oh, it's something I don't want to drink, but you do want that. You want to, shake it up before you use it. And apple cider vinegar has, acetic acid, of course, that's what makes it, sour. It has potassium and magnesium, natural probiotics, and natural enzymes. So the studies do indicate that it helps acid reflux. It supports blood sugar levels and blood pressure, and supports weight loss. Now, it might seem counterintuitive, like it's acidic, so how come it helps with, acid reflux? Well, because it helps you with your stomach acid, helps you build your stomach acid, actually. So stomach acid is usually kind of a misnomer. Usually it's people that have problems have low stomach acid, and so what happens is everything is just rotting and fermenting in your stomach, and it's creating gas if food isn't moving. If it's just kind of sitting and fermenting, it has to go somewhere, this gas, right? So that's like pressure, creates pressure, and that sphincter there, the cardiac sphincter, is just going to come right up and through the esophagus. Sometimes you can taste the reflux, sometimes you don't taste it. Sometimes you can have that and you just think you have a tickle, and it could really be, acid reflux. And also sometimes people have just a problem with the valve. It isn't quite closing. It loses its integrity, over time. And this could be with overeating or, just eating the wrong types of foods. So that's also why, when we talk about lemon, it's very similar to the acetic acid, the apple cider vinegar, that it is alkalizing and cleansing, and it generally helps with, acid reflux. So lemon is very flavorful. And when we say it's cleansing, well, that term, it really can mean that it helps you digest and metabolize and move your food, out. It has vitamin C. That helps with weight loss. It helps with breath, your fresh breath. It can help with kidney stones. So even just drinking your water with a squeeze of lemon juice, or if you have, I had my doTERRA essential oil bottle, but anyway, a lemon essential oil is also beneficial. So you can switch out a squeeze of lemon juice and use 1 or 2 drops of lemon essential oil, like if you use a really good brand like doTERRA. And I'll tell you, I was giving a talk one time about this, and then somebody came up to me afterwards and she said that she struggled, and she was pretty young, but she struggled with kidney stones, just recurrent, like for years. And then she started doing the doTERRA lemon essential oil, and it helped her so much resolve, that problem with the kidney stones. So just kind of make a note of that, in the back of your mind. And honey. Now, honey, again, you don't want to use commercial bought honey because the enzymes aren't there. It's been overheated, and you're not going to have the natural enzymes that are present in the raw, unpasteurized honey, which you can find at any, grocery store, or you can go to Sprouts. You can also use that special Manuka honey, Manuka. Now that is pretty expensive honey, and it's from honeybees from New Zealand, and so it's a special type of flower that they pollinate. and it's great for, cancer, for healing wounds, and all kinds of things. So honey has natural minerals, enzymes. It's a natural preservative. So enzymes that are naturally, found in the honey help you break down both protein and sugar. So that's a good thing. But, some people have told me, well, I don't want to, they're afraid of the sugar, content. So I don't want to use honey because I don't want to, have too much sugar. So anyway, if you're thinking of that, the funny thing is people are weird. Like they'll say that, but then they'll have a bagel or be drinking diet soda or maybe have a pizza or even drinking alcohol or a beer, but they're afraid of the teaspoon or tablespoon of the raw honey. So, I mean, I think just be mindful of really why you are thinking that you shouldn't have something that is healthy, and especially when you really don't need a lot. You're using it sparingly, right? So you're going to get the health, benefits, of the honey along with the apple cider vinegar, and it makes it taste, pretty good. I like it anyway. So that is why, I like honey. And honey by weight is only 82% sucrose, which, sugar is 99%. So it's just kind of funny, right? Of course, sugar has more sugar in it. Cinnamon. Now, ground cinnamon helps balance blood sugar levels. It benefits your digestive fire. That means it helps your digestion metabolize. It helps that stomach fire, that hydrochloric acid, that we were talking about. It boosts your immune system and it benefits your joints. Cinnamon, for some reason, it has the affinity for your upper neck and shoulders. So it is often something that I will give people when they have neck and shoulder pain is cinnamon. And drinking cinnamon tea with honey boosts your immune system. So it is an awesome, thing to do. In Chinese medicine, it is known as guizhi. That's the pinyin name for cinnamon. And then there's also rogui, which is the bark. So you have the cinnamon twig, guizhi, and rogui is the cinnamon bark, which the bark is hotter. So that is even more so for digestion than the twig. And it comes from like maybe the trunk or bark of the cinnamon tree. So, and it's sort of like our body. And if you think about when I was talking about the cinnamon twig is good for our limbs, and then the twigs, right, are the limbs. So I just think that's kind of cool. It's kind of funny that we do use herbs that way and they work. Now, I know that some people will also tell me, oh, um, well, I don't need to take, an herbal form of guizhi or cinnamon because I use it like this in a daily, I have a sprinkle in my food or in my oatmeal but there is a difference between your food grade spices that you're buying in your grocery store and then the type of herbs that I carry that are pharmaceutical grade, 5-to-1, highly concentrated. So you probably won't be able to eat enough of your cinnamon to, you know, have the same therapeutic effects if you are going to be taking my cinnamon tea, which is used for the immune system. It's great for, if you're starting the beginnings of a cold or flu, and again, modified for neck or shoulder pain or even blood sugar issues. Um, and there are different types of cinnamon. So I want to tell you about, there is this type of cinnamon that people are now calling true or real cinnamon, and you may have heard of it, Ceylon cinnamon, Ceylon. Well, cinnamon is cinnamon, whether or not it's cinnamon cassia or cinnamon Ceylon. The other cinnamon is still real cinnamon. It's just that the translation of that name is true cinnamon, and so then it's not that much of a hop, skip, and a jump to saying real cinnamon. And there are just differences in flavors. So your regular cassia cinnamon is hotter, sweet and spicy. Then the Ceylon is a much, much milder, less intense. And also there is less coumarin in the Ceylon cinnamon. So coumarin is a natural, part of cinnamon, and it may be one of the reasons why it works so well for joint pain and helping regulate your blood pressure and blood sugar levels. You know, so again, but if you are on, some medication that is an anticoagulant, then you might not want to take cinnamon. So that would be a reason, to not take cinnamon. But the amount of coumarin in naturally occurring cinnamon is actually good. And the thing that people don't connect with, I mean, I want to say that sometimes science makes us lose our common sense. And that is because, like, here is the twig, if you can see it, like a twig of cinnamon. So if you are to take my ground concentrated cinnamon twig or the cinnamon spice, it's been boiled in just water and highly concentrated, but you aren't getting the constituents singled out. You are drinking or eating the whole thing, and all of the ingredients matter. That's why nature made it that way. So it is important. So, and maybe another better way to describe this is broccoli. So broccoli, we know, helps you fight cancer. It's one of the best things that you can be eating, stir frying is broccoli. But, oh, science, they find out that there are naturally occurring carcinogens in broccoli. So scientists want to now engineer broccoli that doesn't have those particular ingredients. But will it have the same effect as fighting cancer? And I'm going to say no, because it's not the same thing. And those things are probably in the plant to help it fight against parasites or help it fight against something. And many times when we eat a plant, it helps us do the same thing. And we also cook foods and prepare them in certain ways that will neutralize carcinogens or any other types of what they call anti-nutrients. So we are primates that do prepare and cook our foods, and those are reasons why. So it is not a bad thing to cook our foods. Some things we can eat raw. I like to think of the 80-20 rule. We're pretty much safe with a lot of things if we say 80-20. Like, a lot of things will help 80% of the people, and maybe 20%, won't. But there's, they have other options, that they can do. So as far as somebody typed in, like, the lemon, not everybody can have lemon juice, and not everybody can have the apple cider vinegar. Some people it does bother them. So just leave it out, of the recipe. That's okay. Maybe there's an alternative thing that you can drink. So of course, if anything causes an allergic trigger, or causes you to have pain, or any kind of other symptoms, you would not want to take that. You would want to either substitute or just leave it out. It's okay. We don't have to be very, very strict with these different recipes, because these are food recipes, right? It's like when you're in your kitchen, and you can kind of, after a while, you learn what you're doing and what works, for you. Um, so that's why the thing about cinnamon is a little bit annoying, that now also, if you start reading about Ceylon, look who is promoting it as true cinnamon. It's a lot of the marketers, the people that are selling Ceylon. So don't think that you have to rush and buy the more expensive Ceylon cinnamon. You're going to do fine with the regular, cassia cinnamon. That is what most of us, have in our cabinets, and it's on the shelves, and it's just fine. So I don't recommend that you have to have the Ceylon cinnamon. Just a bunch of junk out there that that you read about. Okay, avocado oil. I like avocado oil because it does benefit your eyes. It's high in the antioxidant lutein, and it's a healthy fat, and it helps your immune system, your heart health, cholesterol, even arthritis, your skin, and wound healing. So sort of figure, sometimes throughout the day, it's hard to think of all these things that we want to get. We want to get our healthy fat. So I want to get the cinnamon, I want to get the honey, and, the acetic acid. So why not just make it into one nice little drink that you can have, in the morning? And then you can, forget about it. And I don't add much of this, oil, just like maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon or 1/4 teaspoon. And it's wonderful. And your water, I just use about a third cup of warm water, not necessarily super, boiling, because then you can sip this all together. So if you don't have, lemon, you can, if something else works better, try a different citrus. If you can't do apple cider vinegar, some people like what do you call it? Baking soda. It doesn't taste as good to me. It tastes like toilet water. I mean, not that I've ever had toilet water, but but it works. It is alkalizing. It definitely helps if you're having problems with acid, reflux. Other substitutions, so if you don't have cinnamon, or maybe cinnamon bothers you, I mean, you could try ginger. How about fresh slices of ginger in your tea, or turmeric, or peppermint, or oregano, or basil? All of those things are very antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and they would be wonderful, and they would taste, really, really nice. So when do you drink your morning apple cider tea, or whatever it is, that you're substituting in or out, doesn't matter. I still like to drink water first thing, because you have been sleeping all night, you haven't had anything, and you need to hydrate. And we still need plain water that's just plain, because plain water, our body doesn't do any work to get what it needs out of it. It's just hydrating. So I would definitely drink some water, and then you can have your apple cider, cinnamon tea. You can even add a bag of green tea in here, and I do that sometimes, because you want the antioxidant, value and the benefits of green tea. You really can't, go wrong with doing it. I also like to add that I think it is good to do it like maybe 10 days, and then take 10 days off of doing a cleansing type of tea. And the reason is, 10 days is a good time for you to see if it's helping and if you like it. And you can't really get a benefit if you're not doing it long enough, right? And then you don't want to develop a dependency on anything. Or you don't want to also develop something where over time it stops working. So it's good to kind of disrupt the body just a little bit, just enough. So 10 days and then 10 days off. Yeah, or 10 days off of one type of thing, without the apple cider vinegar. And, maybe you'll find some turmeric type of cleansing tea out there. As I said, there's so many different ones. So um, switch them up. And another thing is, typically when people start, hey, I'm going to start drinking this cleansing tea, they also start thinking, well, maybe I should eat healthy and maybe do a cleanse. And a cleanse could be as simple as avoiding foods that are high in, acidity, high in sugar. Maybe avoid alcohol for your 10 days, your caffeine, your coffee, sugar. Um, Reduce your carbs, and I mean simple carbs, like your junk carbs. Carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates are generally good, and I hate to use that word carb, because it makes us afraid of eating so many things that are actually healthy for us. So I did want to mention one, other thing about food, is that there is the dose dependency. So food can be good and it can be bad. So I don't like to say, don't eat everything white. Just take everything white out of your diet, because we need all of the colors. And some things can be healthy depending on how they're cooked and how much you eat. So a baked potato has a higher glycemic index than a boiled potato. Also, if you add fat to your potato, it reduces that glycemic index, and it is super, super healthy for you. So your fat, of course, would be, your avocado would be good on it. Even a vinegar would be good on it. A salsa. Um, you can mix it, with your protein, adding your butter, a cream, any of those things. That helps you absorb your potato, and at a slower rate, and you don't get that high sugar. And also, toasting your sourdough reduces the glycemic index, and it's the best bread to eat if you're really trying to watch your glycemic index, your sugars. I'm serious. You don't have to eat cardboard bread, but toasting it changes it. See how cooking and toasting um, makes a difference on what you're doing. Let's see. Green tea, it has half. Somebody asked about, do you have a green tea that is caffeine free? Well, it generally has half the amount of caffeine than coffee, and it is absorbed at a much slower rate, kind of a little bit longer, like throughout the day. If you have trouble with caffeine, even in small amounts, then you wouldn't want to drink it after maybe even 3 p.m., 3 or 4 p.m. But I don't really know of a caffeine free um, green tea that I particularly like. And I always think about when something is processed to be caffeine free. Um, I just worry about that. What did they do to it to make it caffeine free? So I don't really drink caffeine free, green tea, but you can try, a lot of herbal teas are naturally caffeine free, like, the peppermint, chamomile, ginger, different types of mints or orange. So you could try those if you can't do any caffeine at all. I don't know, the reason. People have different reasons for wanting to avoid caffeine, or they just think, they don't know necessarily that there's so many benefits for doing the green tea. And like chocolate has caffeine, but it is high in magnesium. If you're eating a very high quality dark chocolate, and also it's the amount that you eat, if you're eating a little square, that helps digestion, just like after a meal. But then again, if you eat too much, it's not good. And milk chocolate isn't, that's not good at all, with all the butter and the milk and the sugar that's in that dark chocolate. See, I get off on tangents. I'm still talking about the drink. So when to do it, how long to do it, as I was saying, 10 days, 10 days off, maybe mix it up a little bit. Um, as far as healing reactions, some people note that they might have healing reactions with drinking, or doing any type of cleanse. And I just want to say that it should be very mild. And what we mean by that is you may just feel kind of yucky, like maybe a little fluish, a little body aches, a little tired or sleepy or foggy brain. Uh, Maybe you might have develop a little tiny light red skin rash. But these things should be mild, and they really should not last very long. Like, should only be like maybe a 24-hour thing. Um, but, some people are pretty like deep on the spectrum of pretty sick, and they have a lot of toxic buildup and acidity in their body, and they may need to do a cleanse much slower and longer. Like, instead of 10 days, it needs to be 20, 21 days, because maybe they're going to skip a day, maybe they're going to drink a tea. um, you know they can only do it every other day. And what you can do to minimize those reactions, again, is just drinking some water that was just lemon, if you can, or a chamomile tea, Epsom salt baths, going for a walk. Those types of things help you just, go through those detox healing type reactions. But you don't want to stop, because it's like antibiotics. If you're given a course of antibiotics and you stop, you are giving the bacteria that hasn't died off yet a chance to replicate and proliferate. And we don't want to do that with whatever toxins we're releasing, from our body, which could be a whole host of things. We're talking about bacteria, viruses, parasites, heavy metals, things that your body needs to naturally get rid of, which we get rid of through our skin. Our skin does breathe via the pores and sweating. So via our breath, that's, respiration, our lungs, through breathing, we release CO2, of course, through our urine, and through our bowel movements, through pooping. So those are the things that we must be doing well. Breathing, number one, breathing, sweating, pooping, and peeing. And those organs that are involved with those things, if they're functioning optimally, you will be able to metabolize and excrete things that we take in that need to break down, and they have to go somewhere, right? If they're not being reused by the body, they have to be excreted. And the liver is constantly doing that for you as well. And even the things that we make, like our hormones, it's naturally breaking those down. So we're helping our liver by doing these things. It has a lot of work that it does for you every single day. And the thing about alcohol, um, the liver has to break that down first before it can metabolize fat. So if you think you're having trouble losing weight, but you're not willing to give up your alcoholic beverages or even reduce to a healthy amount, if you're drinking too much, I mean, you're going to have trouble losing weight because it just has to get rid of the alcohol first in your body. So that's a good reason to, take that time to reevaluate what is important, and using a planner and writing that out, what your goal is and what you want to do and why you're doing something, and you put your mind to it, you can do that. Um, so let's see if we had any more questions. Okay, yeah, so somebody did say that she has a food sensitivity to lemon. Yes, some people do. So just don't do the lemon, but is it lemon juice? Or you may be able to do the lemon oil, because that is cold pressed from the rind, of the lemon. So it's different than the juice, just like grapefruit is from the rind if you're using an essential oil versus the flesh, because some people can't have the flesh of grapefruit, or maybe for other reasons of medication, but it's not the same thing. So that might be, okay. Maybe not, but if not, just avoid it. Um, and one other thing, just because I had these here and I forgot to mention about essential oils, and if you do use, whatever brand, or, doTERRA, but they do have a cassia essential oil, and they do have a cinnamon essential oil. So just like the types of cinnamon that I mentioned, the cassia, this is Cinnamomum cassia, and the cinnamon is from the Zeylanicum, so it is the Ceylon cinnamon, and they do taste different. So if you experiment with these oils, you can add these to your tea. Like, you would either take a toothpick, like a clean toothpick, drop into your bottle, and then swirl it around your tea, and it really is such a nice flavor. Or if you can tolerate, a drop. For some people, it just might be too spicy, so everybody is different. But the cassia, to me, is I think it's sweeter. But they say that the Ceylon is supposed to be sweeter, but I think this is definitely spicier, much more intense, and sweeter, the cassia versus the other, cinnamon. But they're both warm essential oils and pretty spicy. So you can just try, either one, but they do help you reduce the craving for sugar. So that would be another reason to add them into a tea. And especially if you're starting to feel like, you know, you're having some cravings for sweets, you can just make a tea and add a drop of the, you know, one of the cinnamons. Sorry, I have a bad habit of smelling every time I open the bottle. But you can just add a drop, and really, it really curbs, those cravings for that. And even just smelling it can be useful, and so is peppermint. Peppermint can be used in that same way. So yes, jacuzzi is definitely, especially a sauna, that a dry sauna is definitely a great way to help you sweat, and you sweat out, toxins from your pores. So I don't know if there is any other, questions, because maybe some of you have tried it or had reactions, or good reactions, good things to say, bad things to say, or what fear you have about doing it. Any of those types of things, we could answer. Let's see if I make sure I got the when, the what, the how, and the why to do a drink. So again, it would be a good time to also do if you're going to drink a morning cleanse for 10 days, to also, think about your food and do a food cleanse also, because why give your body more work as you're drinking this nice tea that you made for yourself to help your body release toxins, but then you're still putting them in. So if you're eating a lot of meat product, maybe a lot of sugar, or high in grains, a lot of breads, maybe it's time to do a cleanse for 10 days and just omit those things, or take 1 to 5 things that you seem to be eating a lot of. Sometimes we just need to take a break from the things that we're consuming a lot of, and it's a great way to jumpstart your body. So I really believe that a lot of the fad diets out there, they work because we are initially, the premise for most of these diets is to cut out the sugar, right? Stop. Don't eat the sugar and the simple carbs, and then we're like, wow, that really is working. Yeah. But if it's not balanced, if you're cutting out a whole slew of, food group over time, it's harder to stay on it. You don't do it long term, and then the weight and everything else starts to come back. So it's better to think of it as a jump start, and then getting on a very healthy, balanced, diet, and just looking at different ways to cook your foods. Um, I would say that, doing something to release toxins, yes, I would say if you're going to do it like once a day, for a certain amount of days would be good. And then over time, just like drinking the cinnamon and honey tea, or even this cleansing tea, after a while, it could be something that you do once or twice, a week even. Like even just drinking cinnamon honey tea, once a person finds that their immune system is boosted, or their energy levels are better, if they were constipated and now they're very regular, you can just 1 or 2 times a week. And so you don't want to get to where you're overdoing something either, and be mindful of how you're feeling, you know and again, those healing reactions should be very time limited, and they should be mild. But I had somebody one time who was seeing a naturopath, and had him on some types of these things, and he had broken out so bad that it was going to be scarring all over his face. It was really, really bad. And but he just loved this person, and he was told no, to stay on it. It's just a healing reaction. But he every time I had seen him, it was continuing, and it was not a one time thing. And I think that's wrong. I think, you know, that if you're having some kind of reaction like that, it's not appropriate. That's not a healing reaction. You could be having an allergic reaction, and you need to, stop doing that. So, of course, if anything makes you break out like that, or, any difficulty with breathing or shortness of breath, I mean, that just use your common sense, and if something's a trigger like that, you don't want to do that. It's not going to be helpful. You just stop it, right away. So I did want to say, what I thought is my book, Ancient Healing for Modern People, Food, Herbs, and Essential Oils. You can find this on lulu.com, or, even Amazon. And I thought it would be fun that for maybe the first 5 people, if you do buy my book, we can set up like a consult where maybe you can send me a picture of your tongue and some of your symptoms, and then together I can pinpoint for you out of my book, like what section you should focus on. And even just because this book is really set up as a guide, and even an acupuncturist could use it, for you or for her patients, where the guide is just a starting point, and then we can go through it together, and see what section would be best for you, as far as like a long-term diet, or even just a short-term type of cleanse. So I thought that would be, a fun thing to do. And since all of you, know me, I think it would be very, very helpful, especially, if you have the book, because this is what it's supposed to be. That's why I wrote the book. And I also wrote it because, I can't remember all this stuff. I mean, sometimes I might seem like I do, but, I still refer to my book quite often when, I have busy acupuncture practice. And then when somebody asks me questions, but I have someone else coming in a few minutes, I might just actually, hey, let me look, I look, and I have a list of things, or what types of spices are warming and cooling, or what types of foods are cooling. because energetically food can be cooling or it can be warming. So all that information is in this book, probably more information than you even want to know about. And I believe that I had the link for the book in the Eventbrite, but I can send out another email with the link also. But as I said, if you just go into Amazon and you type that in, um, it will come up. So let's see if there are any other questions. I hope that I answered questions that you had in your mind about doing the cleanse. And again, it should be somewhat enjoyable. I think you should look forward to it. If it tastes good and it's not too bad. So, and if you try it and there's something you don't like about it, hey, shoot me an email, or maybe I can come up with an idea of something or an alternative or something that will work for you. Because I do think that most of us need to periodically cleanse, because we are eating cleansing, but also building foods, and the foods that are building are our proteins and our grains. We need them, but they are acidic in our body. So 80-20, 80% we should be having the nice um, vegetables, and 20% of your grains and your meats, or mostly plant-based, which it doesn't necessarily mean vegan plant-based. It just means that the majority of your meal is plant-based. So you don't have to be super, super strict. And that way also it's easier to do. But I know that some people feel like either you have to be all in or all out. Well, I don't feel that way, but you know yourself best. So if you're the type of person that you can't just do plant-based where it's 80-20, it has to be 100%, well, you can go vegan for a while. It's harder to do. So I think the next talk I have scheduled is on next week, the 28th. And this is my chakra series class, where that is actually like a membership class, and it is more like a yoga class where it's action. We do it together. You follow me. We do acupressure. We apply a recipe of essential oils, and then we will do some sound therapy with a tuning fork and even our voice. And next time I will be talking about the Ren conception channel that runs down the center of our body, but it is part of what helps us balance our hormones for either menopause symptoms or fertility. So it's pretty important. And I was thinking of sneaking in another type of healthy gut, healthy body talk. And one thing that I thought, came to mind would be smoothies. Like how to do a green smoothie, and what is the best way, what are the best veggies and fruits and liquids to add in a smoothie. And again, that is also in here, but I think it really helps to talk about that. So if people would let me know, because either I can sneak that in on October 29, but then again, the next month I would be able to do it like the November 11th or 12th. So, that would be around Veterans Day. And again, I can do it in the afternoon or maybe make it later. Just want to make it for an easy time that most people can join. 4 o'clock seemed like a good time, but then I've had a couple people that were saying, can we do 5:30? So, but I am recording this. So if there's not any other, you know, questions, I will let you go. And I so much appreciate you hearing me talk about, this stuff. This is what I love. And I just hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Okay. I will stop the share. Oh, now I see faces. I will stop the